Hello everyone, Brad Johnson here, and before we get into today's Adronis Advancement Classroom, I just wanted to remind everybody that if you're really enjoying a lot of the education that's going to come forward in today's class, that you should look into realitywhisperer.com. Nothing is really more rewarding and transformational and life-changing as having a personal interaction with Adronis. I've spoken to thousands of people throughout this past 7 years who have had these incredible adventures and experiences with Adronis, and they have become such amazing individuals with a lot of the information that Adronis has shared regarding themselves and their own authentic path. So this is what I highly recommend to everybody who has yet to experience an Adronis private session. You can go to realitywhisperer.com and you can book a private session today. Also know that we have digital courses that are available. We also have a lot of free meditations, and of course all kinds of free videos that are available on this channel. So again, I encourage you to take a look at realitywhisperer.com and check it out, and I would really be happy to have a personal, private one-on-one session with you anytime down the road. So thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy today's class. Much love to you, take care, namaste, and may it be well with you. Okay everybody, we are going to go ahead and get started with today's classroom. So I'm just looking at my monitor here on the side, so if you're wondering why I'm facing that way, that's where my monitor is. But thank you everybody for being here today. We're just going to be starting the event today, the classroom, just with a few announcements and kind of giving an introduction to the classroom. So within about the next 10 to 15 minutes, I'll be bringing Adronis in and we'll be getting started with the official classroom today. Today we're going to be talking about parallel universes. We're going to be talking about the science of manifestation. We're also going to be talking about the Chakra Centers and looking also into the assignments of spirit guides. So that's going to be a lot of our topics today. So the classroom, the Adronis Advancement Classroom, is a free bi-weekly teleseminar, webinar that's going to be taking place every second Sunday. So our next one after this will be on the 14th of November. And again, it is free to attend. It's basically first come, first served for the people that want to be in the video chat. So when you guys are in the video chat, you guys will be having the personal interactions during the presentation time with Adronis. Basically what that means is that through this classroom, Adronis is going to be asking questions to the attendees that are in the video chat. And so the video attendees will be able to respond to the questions that Adronis asks. After the presentation presentation segment is finished, then we'll be moving on into the open Q&A segment. Now, in order for all of you, this includes video attendees, and this includes attendees as well too who are watching this on the event page or watching this on YouTube. You guys are able to click on the Q&A chat or the Q&A app, and you're able to post a question in the Q&A app for Adronis. Once we finish the presentation, we'll be moving into the Q&A segment, and then we'll be opening up the Q&A app, and any questions that are there we'll be tackling as well too. But when we get into the Q&A segment time, we'll just be taking questions from the video chat attendees first. Once their questions have been made, then we'll be focusing on the Q&A app as well too. So it's basically the video attendees that kind of get the sweet spot. They're kind of like the front seaters. You know, they get the front row seats, so to speak. And again, it is first come, first served relating to the video attendees. So speaking of the video attendees, I'm just going to ask everybody if they want to go ahead and unmute themselves, and they can just introduce themselves. Just say your name, maybe where you're from, and anything else that's on your mind. So hello, video attendees. Who do we have on the call today?
Hello, Brad. My name's Wendy. I'm from the United States, Illinois, to be exact. I'm very excited to be here today, and I really enjoy your work very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. Thanks for being here. Who else do we have?
Hi, Brad. This is Alexandra from California, and I enjoy being here today. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Alexandra. Thank you for being here. And who else do we have next?
Hi, Brad.
Hello.
Hi, Brad.
Hi, Bonnie. Yeah, Bonnie and Florence. Yes, I can recognize you too. So, thank you very much, guys, for being here. And who else?
Hi, Ufuk Jeddir from Holland. Very nice to be here.
Oh, very good. Thank you so much for being here today. It was, sorry, what was your name again?
Ufuk Jidde.
Ufuk. Okay, thank you very much, Ufuk. Thank you so much for being here. Anybody else?
Hi, Brad. It's Sailesh from London. I'm very pleased to be here today as well.
Hi, Sailesh. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right. I think we have Cheyenne on the call. Cheyenne, are you able to hear me? So we just want to make sure that if you're on the video call, that your microphone is turned on. This is, again, one of the sweet benefits to being on the video call. You don't have to have your webcam on, but as long as you have a microphone hooked up as well, too. So please just make sure you have a microphone hooked up, because that's just making you part of the personal interaction today. So if you guys by chance don't have a microphone hooked up, it might be good just to leave the video chat, just so we can have people who do have the microphone, because we want to have very, very interactive people in the front row. So hopefully everybody has a microphone, and we can, again, have that interaction together with Adronis. That's all part of the front row seaters, as I call these guys. So anyways, if you have your microphone set up, very good. If not, just make sure you can excuse yourself, and you can just watch the video feed live, and you can also respond to your Q&A app. But we just want to make sure that all front row attendees have microphone capability. Okay. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for introducing yourselves, and I want to say hello to everybody that's tuning into this as well, too, live right now on YouTube or on the event page. So again, if you guys are watching this on the event page, or if you're watching this on YouTube, there is the Q&A app there. So go ahead and you can click on the Q&A app, and you can go ahead and you can post a question for Adronis that we'll be tackling later on in today's classroom. And so what is the Adronis Advancement Classroom all about? Well, this was something that I was originally doing on a bi-weekly level through anymeeting.com, and that was basically a paid event that was taking place. But I was feeling that, there's a lot of stuff that Adronis wants to bring out, and I feel that this really deserves a much larger audience. And so I felt this would be a good idea to make this a free webinar every 2 weeks, so that people can come on and they can really share in a lot of this information. We're really going places in 2015, and we're going into such an acceleration that all of this particular type of information is looking to come out through this particular webinar in a form of a classroom. So I want to be able to offer this free online throughout everybody across the world, so that they're receiving a lot of this particular type of information, and they can work on themselves. And with any particular forms of personal and private growth that they want, then that's basically where my website comes into play, and the sessions that I offer as well, too. But as far as a group environment comes, I'm very happy to offer this on a free level. So again, thank you so much, everybody, for being here today. We just have a couple of announcements before we get started with today's class. So again, if you really appreciate everything that's being shared here today, a lot of great information is going to come about. You can always go to realitywhisperer.com, and you can always leave a supporting donation behind. That really helps just to get this, again, more further out there, because I would like to advertise a lot more of this and really bring it out there. But of course, really to advertise does take a bit of money. So if you guys are willing to offer some generous donation support to really helping to bring this type of classroom into a higher state of awareness, that's really appreciated. You can also go to the website. There's a lot of sessions. There's a lot of free stuff as well, too. And of course, products and courses that are available as well. And again, a lot of great things are happening in the field of realitywhisperer.com. Of course, there is a TV show that is in the making that I'm currently working on right now. It is called The Inbound, and you guys can check it out more. It's called theinboundtv.com. That's really taking a lot of the accumulation of the 7 years worth of work and putting it into this type of really fun and exciting fictional TV series that has, again, a lot of truth in it. And so we're working to make that happen as well, too. So you guys can go ahead and check that out, theinboundtv.com. We are working on a campaign right now, a crowdfunding campaign, to begin getting the first few episodes filmed. So if you guys can lend a hand with that as well, too, through the crowdfunding campaign, that is always appreciated. There's some really neat perks on there as well, too, to making you guys a part of the show as well. So that's a really fun, exciting project that's coming about. I'm also going to be working on a new book here pretty soon as well, too, called The Codes of Alignment. And it's kind of a healing book. And so we're going to be looking into a lot of new alignment-based techniques. I don't really refer to them as healing techniques. I refer to them basically as attunement or alignment techniques. And so a lot of stuff from light circuitry, from abundance attunements, from working with chi spheres, with working with color vibration, with working with vibration and thought in general and feeling. It's going to be a very, very unique book, and so it's really going to be kind of on the equal mass of detail from Rainbow Wisdom, from my last book, and that will be coming out in early 2016 as well too. But again, please feel free to join every 2 weeks here through the Adronis Advancement Classroom bi-weekly webinar. I'm really looking forward to today's class and to interacting with all of you today as well. And so for all of you that are watching, please don't be shy. Please feel free to ask any particular type of questions that's on your mind, other than the fact of anything personal or private, because we save that for the private sessions that are on the website. Okay, so that is basically it for my introduction. So I will go ahead and we're going to get started with today's class. So what I would just ask everybody in the front row, the video attendees, is just to make sure that your microphones are muted. There will be an opportunity where Adronis will basically, quote unquote, have you the opportunity to buzz in, and you guys will be able to unmute your microphones and being able to respond to Adronis's questions. Now, as we have a much larger audience today in comparison to the last 2 classes we've had, basically there's just a 2-segment form. So basically the first segment is presentation, the second segment is Q&A. But we have talked about certain things in the last 2 classes that Adronis will also review very briefly as well too. One of those things has to do with beginning a diary. Okay, so this is what I recommend everybody who's going to be attending these classes, is to have a notebook and a diary handy, right? Adronis is going to be giving you guys some assignments. This is not so much in the idea of saying that I just want to ask Adronis a bunch of these questions. You know, that's not what the classroom is primarily about. There certainly is that part to it, but basically he's going to be testing you. He's going to be asking you guys questions, and he wants to see exactly where you guys are at, right? So this is basically how the teacher will work. The teacher will be working to ask a lot of the participants where they feel they're at, and kind of asking these kind of general questions that really affect you personally, and seeing exactly where you feel you're at on a spiritual level. And this just really helps with the interaction for you guys to really kind of feel that kind of personal bond. I wish I could fit like 50 people, you know, on the video chat as well too, and get like that really full-out interaction. But again, we can only do what we can with the free technology that's available through Google Hangouts. But that will basically be part of the event today, the classroom today, is with the presentation. So again, in the presentation today, Adronis is going to be talking about parallel universes. He's going to be talking about manifestation. He's going to be talking about the assignment of spirit guides, and we're also going to be talking about the chakras. Okay, and then of course, live Q&A will follow. All right, guys. So thank you so much for putting up with that 15 minutes of blabbing of introductory stuff. So I will go ahead now and bring Adronis in, and we'll begin today's classroom. All right, here we go. We are here at this time, and we bid you greetings, and thank you very much for the opportunity of this interaction today. I am Adronis of Sirius, sending love, appreciation, and gratitude to all who are tuning in to this broadcast being brought forward through your internet collective consciousness. What we would like all of you to do at this time is simply allow yourselves to get relaxed, get comfortable, and tune in to the vibrations of Sirius, so that you may synchronize, harmonize, and align to all of the information that we have to share. Also understand that all of the information that we shall provide today is simply that of our perspective, our point of view. For all knowledge, all information, all creation itself resides within your very heart, being, and soul. So we will speak to you in an introductory way, that those of you in that sense who are having personal video interaction together with us today, we thank you so much for your presence, and that you will allow yourself also to, if you wish, feel free to take notes, and also be mindful of any particular forms of, shall we say, questions that will arise later on when we reach that particular type of interaction. For those of you who are, in that sense, reviewing this particular broadcast right now and are able to see this particular feed, we would ask you as well, too, to have a notebook handy. And again, any particular forms of questions in preparation that you would like to, later on, pose to us, we are looking forward to the questions that you have. But regardless, whether you are here through the idea of your video feed, or regardless if you are, in that sense, just viewing this video feed from another particular perspective, everything that we are going to share together with you today is meant to be personally interactive. So again, everything that really helps your own spiritual development, of helping you to understand who you are, is best acknowledged through the state of documentation. And so this is why we have suggested in the previous classrooms that we have communicated with that you have a notebook or that you have a diary handy. And that through this particular diary you will start simply just documenting your days. If you are already doing this, congratulations. You are well ahead of that particular step. But if you have not been able to do this, this would be a recommendation for you to do on a daily basis from this point forward. Now, you do not have to share your particular types of entries with us in any particular shape, way, or form, but it is basically helping you to understand more about your progress. Many people have come to us in previous forms of interactions and said, Adronis, how far along am I spiritually? How evolved am I spiritually? We really can't answer that question because there is no state in regards to what you felt was your beginnings in regards to what you feel is your advancement. We would ask everybody to please mute your microphones who are in the video attendees place. Thank you. But again, there is no real way for us to, in that sense, give that particular type of understanding to you in that way. Please mute your microphones, everybody that is in video attendee chat. Please. Thank you. So again, it's very, very important that you look into the idea of being able to start a diary, being able to record your day. What sort of things have happened throughout your day today that you have felt have been very enriching, that you may feel have been very challenging? Perhaps there is, in that sense, a subtlety that has taken place together today. Write that down. Be specific about even your own states of subtlety, because in that sense, are you absent in thought based upon that state of subtlety? Obviously, something is going on in your mind. So feel free to place that down on paper. Feel free to record that with your voice. Whatever you feel represents your own personal diary, let that be your own greatest tool. Everything that you learn in regards to technique, let that be brought down in your diary as well too. Everything that you may experience in your recollection of dreams, let that be a part of your diary as well. Document everything that you know yourself to be and everything that you're experiencing on a day-to-day basis. The reason why we say that this is important is because you are reflecting back in regards to other particular forms of matters that you are feeling are of a great importance to your own growth and to your own state of expansion. So this would be a very high recommendation for all of you to begin with, should you not, in that sense, already have a diary with you. We thank you very much for that, and we will begin with the topics of discussion today through the Adronis Advancement Classroom, firstly beginning with the idea of alternate realities. Now, we would like to ask everybody in the front row, in the video attendees chat, are you aware of what is known on your planet as the Mandela effect? You can feel free to unmute yourselves and simply answer yes or no.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
All right.
Maybe.
All right. All right.
Not fully.
All right. We thank you very much. Please feel free to mute your microphones. Thank you again for your interaction. So, again, we would love to ask that to everybody else. Now, the reason why we are saying this particular form of nature, representing that of the Mandela effect, is because this is precisely what's happening in your own reality right now. Now, understand that many of your own scientists are actually starting to discover that through their own interpretation of the background radiation in the universe, that there are other particular apertures that are actually starting to open up in your universe that form conduits from other universes that are coming together. Basically, what's happening is you're going through a parallel universe convergence. So everything that has been going on in regards to this 26,000-year cycle that again has also been, shall we say, appearing in previous cycles as well too, but specifically within this near 26,000-year cycle is the convergence of other particular universes to form together a unified universe, or what we would refer to as the universe itself. Now, this particular verse would be, in that sense, an idea, axiom, pertaining to what is happening, pertaining to, shall we say, your current situation of reality. Other particular realities are bonding and merging and converging together in this particular unified verse. So this is why many of you, in that sense, have discovered that you are noticing memories that have been part of another particular reality that don't play out in continuity with the current universe that you reside in. This would come to the idea in the form of what you would know as Nelson Mandela. Many people believe that he died in prison in the 1980s and are now discovering that he recently passed away, surrounded by family and friends. Others are noticing that through your own entertainment, that there are changes in names, that there are changes in certain forms of criteria relating to what you remember them to be. This, again, is all part of what you would know as a Mandela effect, or what we have called the amalgamation effect. So basically, many different parallel universes are now starting to come together and converge. Think of it in the idea of a circle of 12. And throughout this particular circle of 12, each of the circles within the circle of 12 is now, in that sense, emitting a particular form of umbilical cord. And that these umbilical cords are all reaching the center nexus point of this particular circle. And that these 12 forms of circles are all submitting appropriate amounts of information, appropriate amounts of insight, content, essence in that way, that is creating a whole new circle in the center, or shall we say a whole new sphere in the center of the circle. And so through this particular sphere that is now being created comes the idea of the amalgamation effect with all of these particular universes. Now, in this instance, we have utilized the form of 12 universes, but in that sense, there actually are a great deal more that's happening. There are basically thousands upon thousands upon thousands of different parallel universes to which many of you have resided and are basically starting to truncate and starting to place together this new unified verse that in that sense have had particular forms of, shall we say, side effects that represent the idea of different levels of memory, of what you remembered certain events, certain people, even certain situations that have happened in your life that may have in that sense reversioned itself on a different level. So the Mandela effect in its own way is basically the feeling of alternate memories. Basically having alternate memories from other particular universes that are now coming together in this particular universe and noticing that the concurrent flow of what you know as your history has not matched out what you felt your own memory is attempting to tell you. And so this is, again, part of the amalgamation effect, because this can happen to you on a personal level. You may notice that in that sense that you lived in a house on a certain block, on a certain street, and that you remember how it looked exactly. You now go to that particular house and you discover that it's no longer a house, perhaps now it's an apartment building, whatever else it may be. You may also feel that perhaps weeks ago you started walking down and you started memorizing certain houses as well too, and now all of a sudden they've changed profoundly, and definitely not in the particular type of case that they could throughout that short duration of time. And so again, these are just examples of what people can experience through the idea of a Mandela effect. Basically giving you the idea that something else was telling you that there was another type of history, another type of continuity, but this universe is not being able to support that because it is now a unified universe in that particular way that is creating a convergence of new timelines that are helping you to move towards a positive future. So basically all of those universes that you were a part of that had that particular type of consistency and had that, in that sense, concurrent flow of memory have converged. And in that sense, certain things have been canceled out because the reason they've been canceled out is because they fit the mold in regards to the appropriate amount of timelines necessary to create a convergence about where the collective consciousness, where it wishes to take itself to the next level. And so this is basically, in that sense, what you are discovering through yourselves and what you are discovering collectively. Parallel universes, again, work like spheres, and they, in that sense, merge together in this particular state during certain forms of cycles. We refer to these as the cycles of expansion and contraction. And so, again, through a certain amount of set cyclic forms of what you would know as your years, through the idea of your 26,000-year cycle, you experience these times of compression, these times of expansion, these times of expansion, these times of contraction. This is basically what's happening. This is how the universe, in that way, is breathing in and breathing out. This is, again, how convergence can take place through other universes vibrationally aligned in regards to a common goal. Now, again, understand that all universes themselves are organisms. They are dynamic creations. They are bodies. And that is basically what you are living in, of course. Many of you are understanding the power of the microcosm of the macrocosm that connects you all, the nature of oneness. So let us reflect in regards to what are the two actual understandings relating to that of creation. The very first creational understanding: now is forever, forever is now. The second creational understanding: one is all, and all is one. That's it. Now again, these are not laws, because as you understand laws to be, laws themselves can be bent, laws themselves can be broken. These two creational understandings are incapable of being bent or broken. You will always have now as forever, and forever as now. You will always be one, that is all. You will always be all, that is one. That is incapable of changing. But they represent change within their entire scope of realization, of their understandings. Because as you understand that now is forever, everything is ageless, everything is timeless, and that everything that corresponds to time is all a part of memory. And so you would understand that memory and karma go hand to hand, and that they are basically, in that sense, together as one in what you consider to be time. Anything that takes you out of the moment is a result of karma. We will repeat that again. Anything that takes you out of the moment is a result of karma created by memory. So all there ever is, all there ever has been, is this very moment. And that this very moment is forever, is forever, is forever. It never ends. The idea that, again, yes, one is all is one. That no matter how deep things may be, no matter how much the karmic ties in reality may be, no matter the differentiation of the type of people or the type of events that something may be, you are all interconnected. You are all one. And that everybody represents a complement of the whole. There is no lesser and there is no greater. There is no loss, there is no gain. Basically, everything truly is as one. The idea of lesser or greater, or the idea of loss or gain, are all parts of peripheral perspectives that you are undertaking in the idea of a linear-based reality that has been seeded with a particular ingredient. And this particular ingredient is what? So we would ask the members of the front row audience, what is the ingredient that we are speaking of? Would anybody like to take a guess at it?
Is it time?
All right, we have received time. Anybody else?
I was going to say time as well.
All right, anybody else? What is the key ingredient relating to this particular type of reality on a linear level?
I know. The ego.
All right, thank you very much. Anybody else?
I'm going to say perspective.
Perspective, all right. We thank you very much for your comments. Please feel free to once again mute your microphones, and thank you for your interaction. So we have represented the idea that what is it that is the key ingredient in regards to a reality that exists like this in a linear time fashion. We had received comments like time. We had received the idea of ego. We have received the idea of perspective. Those are close. It all comes down to meaning. It is a reality of meaning. And so meaning itself is actually what is creating all of those aspects. It is what's creating the idea of perspective. It is what's creating the idea of time. It is what's creating the idea of ego. And so the whole idea is that when you are functioning together within a reality like this, it is meaning that creates the concept of lesser or better, of greater or worse, of black and white, of good and evil, of, in that sense, gain and loss. These are all polarities. And they've all been assigned through meaning, because everything that truly is perspective in that particular way has no particular type of essence other than the essence that you give it. So perspective is simply that of a viewpoint. Now, when you really look at the idea of bland perspective, there is no feeling at all. You are basically observing something, and that you have no particular type of opinion. It is what it is. And so again, this is going more so into our universal dynamics, is helping you to understand that you yourself are the only person that gives very unique meaning to everything. Regardless of what is already decided upon through a collective consciousness, it is you yourself that has given meaning to all things. The people that are in your life, the career that is a part of your life, the exploration that you do upon your planet to what you would consider to be as beautiful or ugly, etc. All of that you have given meaning to. The parents that gave birth to you, the best friends that are together with you, your partner, your children, etc. You have given meaning to all of them. You have given meaning to the place that you have decided to live. You have given meaning to your own likes and your dislikes. All of that is part of you. The only thing you will ever experience in reality is all of your creation. Every single person. We are, again, being very, very serious when we say that there is only you here. That this is all you. This is your universe. This is who you are. And you are simply casting out reflections that we have referred to as catalysts that are helping you to understand yourself. And so again, you're playing within a gigantic, immersive form of holographic mirrors that represent a universe. So this is exactly why you're here on this planet. You have come here because it is a unique perspective that you are giving meaning to helping you understand more about yourself as a human being, as working together in human consciousness. It is a spiritual essence coming into a human body, and in that sense allowing this experience together. So many of you in that sense already realize that you are a spiritual being having a human experience, and that is precisely what is happening. The idea of a human being having a spiritual experience is simply the idea of illusion. So the whole idea here is that being able to notice that, well, if this is truly my universe, and that I'm able to attract or repel anything that I truly wish, what am I doing to helping myself learn more about myself? This can be, in that sense, a big question, because many of you in that way are busybodies. You feel that you have a lot going on a daily basis. I'm working from 9 to 5. I'm paying my bills. I'm taking care of the children. I'm being with the partner. I'm working together with my family, etc. All of that is fine and dandy. When is there time for you? And we would like to ask you that question. When is there time for you? Because this is very important. We understand many of you have busy lives, and we understand many of you in that sense enjoy the indulgences of physical reality. We get that. But also understand what is also very, very important is to realize the mechanism about how this reality flows, about how reality itself is attempting to share itself together with you. And this moves on to the next category, which represents the assignment of spirit guides. So, many of you may already be aware of certain types of spirit guides that exist within your reality, that are assisting you along the way. And that again, as you're understanding that this reality is all part of an aspect of yourself, it is your spirit guides that are helping you to look more further, more deeper into reality. And so we have another question for the front row video attendees. If you would like to unmute yourselves, please. Have any of you made contact with spirit guides? And if you have, would you like to share any of your experiences?
Yes, Adronis, I have made contact with a variety of my spirit guides. Some come in the form of animals, spirit animals. Some come in the form of guides with animals. Some come in the form of what I feel are my galactic star families.
Yes.
And so forth. I do receive what I feel are telepathic messages from them, as well as messages via the synchronicities that I find in my everyday life.
Very good. We would like to ask you, when did you first notice your spirit guides?
I would have to say I felt them probably longer than I actually was aware of them. Maybe I felt them probably as early as a child, as far as in the form of feeling that I had angels among me. But I would have to say more telepathically in my awareness probably within the last couple of years, when I would say I woke up, when I actually became aware of my own ascension, if you will.
Very good. We thank you very much for your sharing of your journey. Thank you again. Does anybody else have any information they would like to share about their spirit guides?
Yes, I would, Adronis. This is Bonnie.
Hello, Bonnie.
Boy, I've always, as a child, been drawn to the supernatural, spiritual, but really when it all started coming together was probably just about a year ago. They came in the form of orbs, videotaping and such, and then when they really started communicating with me was through a light. They started bringing the light on, and something just occurred to me, we'll start talking to them. So I started talking to him telepathically, and that's how I started my relationship. They gave me 3 names, and they said they were fairies. The most, I don't want to say powerful, but most energetic one is, his name, he told me, was Light Bright. Second one was Pita. She was is a fairy, pixie fairy. And then the last one, she said she was a woodland fairy, and she said her name was Agnes. And I just have a lot of fun with them. They're tons of fun, and they keep me company, wonderful company, along with all the orbs.
We thank you very much for that wonderful, again, sharing as well, too. And we're happy to take one more person, anyone else who would like to share their experience with spirit guides.
I could share mine.
Yep.
This is Alexandra.
Hello.
Since I was a very young child, I was 2 to 3 years old, I've always saw other realities, past lives and other people's past lives, and then also what some people call ghosts or spirits and so forth. So I've always had a variety where to pick from, and then eventually, as I got older, I had one in particular that has been my main guide that I refer to her like a mom. And she explained a lot of the questions that my physical mom couldn't explain about spirituality and understanding other realities. So I have a huge amount of support from the spirit world.
We thank you very much. And we thank all of you once again for sharing your perspective. And now we, in that sense, have a question to pose for all of those who have not yet spoken through your microphones. To those, in that sense, who have not spoken, have you noticed, in that sense, how these particular types of spirit guides enter through one's own life? What do you feel is the connection that allows someone to be more consciously aware of their guides?
Hi, Adronis. This is Christy.
Yes. Hello, Christy.
Hi. Mine comes through voices. When I get into a state, I just hear a voice back and forth, and I kind of talk back to it, and it's just like a conversation. I don't see things, but I definitely have a kind of a conversation in my mind.
Yes, very good. Thank you. So again, we ask everybody else, where do you feel is the particular type of connection point, the convergence point to when others are starting to notice these particular guides coming through?
Hi, Adronis. This is Florence.
Hello, Florence.
I think, the point that I feel that it comes in to me anyway, when I have a connection to my spirit guides, is when there's some, through the heart. I feel it in the heart district.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very
And
good.
it's when I have like a question that I go and speculate. All of a sudden, it just comes through like a very strong warmth in my heart region.
Correct. We thank you very much for the interaction. You may all now feel free to mute yourselves once again. Thank you. So yes, as Florence put it, the idea of, in that sense, connecting together with the heart. But more importantly, many people discover that their spirit guides are now starting to come into their conscious awareness after a very deep emotional state. It is basically emotion itself that is actually bringing your own spirit guides in a certain way into your reality. The reason being is because emotion on certain ways is a purging vibration. This is why it is so intense. And so basically in that sense, when one is truly in that state of emotion, the emotion becomes their reality. It is their entire world. When that emotion has reached a purging process and all of that particular energy has been evacuated from their body, we refer to this as a cleansing effect. As this particular cleansing effect takes place, sometimes through the idea of the feeling of tears, tearful conversations, tearful admittances, feelings of being able to completely release and in that sense hold space for that particular type of emotional release. That when this takes place, you have basically cleansed yourself. And through these particular states of cleansing, you will discover that spirit guides can actually follow through in certain forms of communications with you post-emotional state. So it is your emotions themselves that become evacuated, that are actually allowing you to see more of the particular guidance through your spirit guides that represent your own emotional tactfulness, that you have been very tactful in looking into these emotions and that you have allowed them to be purged and that you're allowing this cleansing effect to take place. So again, as a child, you are highly adeptly, purely emotional. And again, this is why many of you in that sense, as children, are actually able to feel that something else was there, that there is another person right there. Because children of a young age are basically some of the most purest beings on your planet. And so basically, in that state where they are very genuine to their feelings, they do not know how to suppress their feelings. They do not know how to suppress their emotions. They will greatly, in that sense, release their emotional states. As this happens, think of it in the idea of, shall we say, debris being cleared off a slate. And when that particular debris is cleared off a slate, now the reflections of the shininess of that slate are showing you guides, are showing you angels, are showing you other particular beings that have some type of contract together with you, that are aiding you in regards to your life journey. That is how it is activated. So it is very, very important that for those of you who feel that I haven't connected with my spirit guides yet, because the whole idea is if you feel that you are attempting and you are attempting and you are attempting, but there are no answers in that particular way, there is something very deep within yourself that you are holding on to. Sometimes this can have to be the idea of, shall we say, personal trust issues. This has to do with neglect. This has to do with other particular forms of emotional barriers that have not been permitted to be evacuated. Well, Adronis, how do I evacuate these particular levels of emotions? By accepting them. And that's your very first key. Now again, some of you have been bred to basically, in that sense, suppress the emotion, bury it really, really deep into the gut, and in that sense allow it to create this hardening ball like cement that is basically manifested together in your own belly in that way. And again, that is an appropriate analogy. Energy itself that becomes so stagnant transforms into what? So this is something we would like to ask everybody else. Energy itself that becomes so stagnant transforms into what? Front row attendees, please feel free to unmute. What would be your answer?
Illness.
Illness. Correct.
Yes, I would say resistance to oneself. Yes, resistance.
Correct. You got it. Thank you very much. Yes, it is illness. It is the idea that resistance is causing this. This is the entire reason of all abnormalities in the body. It is the only reason. It is emotional distress. It is the feeling of great resistance within the self. That is what is causing everything chronic. That is what's causing everything that you may feel has been hereditary. That may be causing everything in regards to what you feel has been your own flus, your own particular forms of viral agents, etc. All of that is caused by emotional imbalance. It can't be caused in any other way. You could basically be, in an example, in a bus full of people and feeling that you have done so much cleansing work with yourself, that you have worked on yourself so diligently, and you feel so fantastic about yourself, that you could be in a bus full of people that are, in that sense, coughing themselves silly and not catch a single thing. It has nothing to do with airborne virus. It has nothing to do in the idea of what you would refer to as the logical approach to which much of your medical science has elaborated with. Yes, those particular forms can take effect if there is, in that sense, certain levels of emotional toxicity that are basically functioning as magnets to attract the particular type of virus, illness, infection in that sense together, to enlist an example of what you're still holding on to. And that all particular forms of illnesses, all particular forms of disorders, all particular forms of chronic pains, etc., are all linked to the idea of emotional despair, of emotional imbalance. And so we ask you to really, really look into that, because that's what causes anything pertaining to dis-ease or illness, or in anything that you would refer to as abnormality of the body. So this can be cleansed. So Adronis, how do we cleanse this? Again, as we said, look into your emotional states. Look into what you feel you're still holding on to. Now here's one of the biggest challenges that, well, Adronis, I know I'm holding on to something, but I really can't make it out. We understand that, because this is exactly why there are triggers in your reality. And again, this is what your guides are helping you to see. That sometimes they will tell you, oh, go on this trip, or start a relationship with this person. They're not always telling you because that's going to be a happily ever after situation. No, they're telling you this because that person that comes along and that could be a potential partner is going to trigger you, is going to actually unleash something within yourself that has been stuck, that has been stagnant for quite some time in regards to his or her actions and his or her interaction together with you. So that is what's going to, in that sense, completely dislodge a particular form of stagnant energy, and now is going to be able to soften as long as you're able to acknowledge it. And that is what creates the emotional purging. That's what creates the emotional release. That's what creates the cleansing, because now you notice, oh my goodness, that relationship didn't work out. I feel so sad right now. And so basically you are very much in that particular state of personal turmoil. And in that sense, as unfortunate as that may sound, this is in that sense a blessing in reality, because now you are able to dislodge that aspect, because you are learning from that particular situation that was in that sense not in alignment with who you truly are. So it is in that sense the favors that misalignment does to us that actually helps us to purge these particular forms of stagnancies within our body. This is why we say that it's not always about, shall we say, rainbows and whiskers on kittens. All right? It's not always about that. It's the idea that you are going and being led into these particular types of misalignments through your guides. And again, this is what we will tell you. Sometimes, very much often in fact, your guides will trick you. So basically they will tell you that, oh yes, get involved with a relationship with this person, or yeah, oh yes, take this new job, or oh yes, move to this new location, because this is going to bring about an expansion with you. Now they are not lying about that. They are not lying and saying that this will in that sense bring about an expansion together with you. But they are basically helping you to dislodge yourself. So this is helping you to come into the idea of saying that what is the purpose of the spirit guides? Yes, they are guiding you in that particular way. Yes, they are helping you out. They are basically helping you to become a cleansed being, helping you to become a whole being. That is their assignment. Now understand that your guides are not just quote-unquote random fellows from other dimensions, etc., etc., etc. They hold very strong, deep rapport with you, and they are selected. You are basically choosing your guides in that way, and they themselves are choosing you. So it is basically in that way a mutual means. So when you are basically working together with other particular guides, there are assignments. It is very similar to what you would know as interviews in that particular way. It is your own, shall we say, soul that is basically interviewing together the spirit guide. It is also the spirit guide that is also interviewing you. And so you are mutually being interviewed in regards to guides that are actually coming into your reality because you have felt they would be the best option to helping you advance yourself. And they felt that everything that you are going through will be, in that sense, a great way to advance themselves as well. And so it is a mutual two-way street. That is exactly why your guides are here. They are not here in that sense to fumble around and feel that they are in that sense just, shall we say, slacking off in that particular way. Everything that they are saying, everything that they are doing is all part of a purpose, to helping you unfold yourself, to helping you become more aware of yourself in that particular way. And in those ways, when you may feel that you yourself are being, shall we say, quite stubborn and saying, nope, I'm not going to do that, I'm not going to go into that avenue. Oh, but we're telling you, if you go into that avenue, you're going to move into a higher alignment. No, I don't want to do that. I'm canceling that out. Okay, well, that was plan A. So now we're going to go to plan B. And now plan B is basically helping you to guide yourself into another magnetic that may not be as glorious as what plan A was, but now because you have disregarded plan A, plan B is basically, in that sense, attempting to get you into, shall we say, a certain form of karmic realignment. And so basically this would come back to the example of the potential partner that left you heartbroken, that left you feeling very, very sad. It was not meant to be, in that sense, a relationship that would be quote-unquote long-lasting. It was simply to be of a certain form of service that would help to dislodge that particular emotional aspect, that belief system, that thought, that feeling, that has, in that sense, been out of alignment-based service to you. And so this is exactly what the guides are attempting to do. Now again, the amount of guides varies between the type of individual. Now there may only be, in that sense, a certain individual who feels that they are in alignment with just one or two guides for their entire life. There will also be other individuals who have no type of interaction with their guides whatsoever, but their guides are still working together with them. Everybody on this planet has a guide in some shape, way, or form. All right? It may not be elemental, it may not be extra-dimensional, it may not be extraterrestrial, it may not be angelic, etc. But there is some type of guide that is working together with all of you, at least, and being able to, in that sense, create a map. Now, very much the subconscious that you understand is this very map, which means that they are planning ahead. It does not mean in that sense that they have the full scope about where you are going. Now that's the spirit guide's challenge. The spirit guide really doesn't know what path you're going to take. It is in that sense on a mission to helping you out. Here is plan A, here is plan B, here is plan C. Oh, we may feel that maybe John may take plan A. But you're noticing that he's not really moving into that area. He's moving more into the middle point. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and reintegrate this plan and make it into plan B so that he can now move back into plan A. So basically, the spirit guides, in a way, are spiritual strategists. So they're basically, in that sense, creating subconscious mind maps within your own subconscious that are helping you to move into what can eventually be, shall we say, the mountaintop. So the spirit guide's task is to get you to the mountaintop. And we refer to that in that sense as the summit folk, of the people who are aware of their I am awareness. Now, the spirit guide does not know that you are going to make it to this mountaintop or not. They are not given that particular form of information. So if you say, oh, well, spirit guide, Will I be able to reach that mountaintop? They won't be able to answer. They are basically saying, well, if you keep walking this path and if you plan this out, basically where I feel you'll be going, you can have a really good opportunity to get to the mountaintop in that particular way. But the spirit guides did not have the clairvoyance, nor do they have the clarity of actually knowing where you're going. That's what it is to be a spirit guide. They are not, quote unquote, all-knowing. And it's very important for you to remember this, and we want to highlight that. The spirit guide is not all-knowing. The spirit guide itself's task is to helping you understand yourself with these particular types of, in that sense, nodule points that they put together within your subconscious. These are triggers. These are very deep levels of psychological programs that are actually being brought forward into you that magnetically align to you based upon your behavioral algorithms, your characteristic instincts, everything that represents yourself. And so this subconscious mind map are these magnetic alignments of nodules that are basically dragging you in certain ways based upon how you understand yourself as an archetype. And the spirit guide's job is to, in that sense, help to navigate yourself into these. Now, that is not the higher self's job. The higher self does know what's going to happen to you at the end of this life. The higher self is aware about what you are, in that sense, going to fully experience throughout this life. However, it is the higher self that would be what you would know as the administrator that would function together in corroborating together with the spirit guides of only giving them insight of what they feel is necessary to create this blueprint. So you would understand that the higher self is on a higher level of this subconscious map. They are the administrators. Now again, we certainly represent the idea of an aspect of Brad's own higher self. And that Brad himself does have particular forms of spirit guides, some he is aware of and some that he isn't. But again, this is basically our particular task, is that do we know what Brad's life is going to be like at the end of this life? Yes, we do. Will we tell him? Not a chance. So, in a way of an amusing sense, we understand that he himself is laughing right now, but that's all right. But again, that's all part of the journey. Again, you have to see life very much like a game, because that's exactly how it is. It's looking more so into the idea of understanding that what you're going through is this very elaborate, created, magnificent masterpiece that helps you in a beautiful way understand more about yourself through all of the catalyst reflections that you are, in that sense, experiencing through yourself. That's the science of manifestation. And so when you're looking into the idea of manifestation itself, if we're looking into the idea that spirit itself, when you're looking at the purity of spirit, truly is all things. It is the entirety of the universe. It is all part of creation itself. And when you're bringing it down into the lower particular types of dimensions from which you would understand as your own astral realms, the idea of the influence pertaining to atomic structure is instantaneous because there is lesser mass. And then when you're moving it more into the physical realm, everything is already created in the physical realm right now. Everything is already created in the astral realms right now. Everything is already created throughout the universe right now. That manifestation directs itself more so to the idea of a rerouting, and that it is actually rerouting yourself into a climax that gives you an understanding of the synchronicity pertaining to the magnetics that you have aligned to helping you understand and saying, oh my goodness, this is what I've asked for. This is what I've attracted myself to. Because that's all you're really doing. It's not the idea that you're snapping your fingers and a loaf of bread all of a sudden appears in your hands. That's not to say that that's impossible. It certainly isn't. But that's not much of your journeys in the, shall we say, major scope. The whole idea is that your aspect pertaining to manifestation is based upon synchronicity. So it is synchronicity itself that is responsible for the states of manifestation that brings them into your reality, whether it's something that you've felt you have dreaded or something that you have adored. Nonetheless, that will come together because, as we stated, the universe doesn't know polarity. Human beings certainly understand polarity, but the universe doesn't. Well, universe, I didn't want that. That was bad. So what? This is what you put your energy towards. This is what you have allowed synchronicity to guide you to, relating to that idea of what you felt was bad or what was evil or was, in that sense, a burden. You gave permission to yourself to walk that path, even though the spirit guides are telling you, come on, this isn't your path, this isn't your path. I'm so deeply emotional, I can't hear you. And so I'm going to walk down this path. And the spirit guides will do everything to attempt to get your attention. Come on, that's not your path. You're completely out of bounds right now. It's not where you're supposed to be. And they will do anything to get you back on track. When we say that, that can lead to the idea of life-threatening situations. Car accidents, injuries at work, severe breakups, financial breakdowns, etc. are all part of guidance helping you to get back on track. It is basically attempting to shake up your world so much that you are now finally, in that sense, being able to, shall we say, fall off from the ground, because the ground is now becoming so unstable, because these bombshell situations come into this life, helping you to understand more about where you're actually supposed to be. This is basically what you would refer to as a last resort. Now, the contingency, the continuum, the collective of your spirit guides are actually responsible for putting these particular types of severe accidents in your path. They are the ones that have aligned that, because this is what you would refer to as the bailout, attempting to shake up your realities to such an extreme degree that you, in that sense, lose your footing, you fall to the ground. And in that point, you may wallow to yourself and feel, oh my goodness, I lost my step, I fell to the ground, and now I'm covered in soot. I'm covered in tar. What do I do right now? And of course, you may start bawling your eyes out in that particular way, but that's okay, because eventually, at some point, you'll pick yourself back up. The guides are basically attempting to tell you, you had to go that particular direction. You had to go that way, and this quote-unquote intense bombshell needed to happen to knock you out of that particular reality, to telling you that's not where you belong. It is very much in that sense like being in a safe zone, where you feel that this particular land is free of any particular types of obstacles, that you are actually stepping over the forms of barbed wire, and now you're starting to run off into a minefield. And that basically is an appropriate analogy about when you are going so far off course that you will eventually stand on one of those particular types of landmines and you will blow yourself up. Now, this is basically what shatters you. You shatter yourself to the ground. And again, like the idea of being covered in soot or being covered in tar, this is also an appropriate, reprehensible form of analogy. So basically, you are, shall we say, being blown up. You, in that sense, hit that landmine and you shatter. And basically, this is one of the most powerful aspects about helping you as a precursor to getting back on track, is when you are able to notice every single piece of yourself and are able to rebuild yourself all together. So that is exactly the plan of the spirit guides, to helping you along the way, to again helping to create that subconscious mind map, because all they can really do is create these magnetic nodule points. They're like little beacons that represent a magnetic array of energy, because they have the highest degree of momentum that you will align to that particular path. Now, this goes the same way in regards to predictions relating to psychic premonitions. Now, we have a question for the people in the front seat, to the front row attendees. Here's the question we would like to ask you. When is a prediction 100% accurate?
Never.
Never.
All right, we have never. Anybody else?
Never.
Never.
All right. We thank you very much. In a way, you are correct. The only time that a prediction is 100% accurate is when you do not know about it. And that's the whole idea. It is awareness that contaminates the idea of a prediction. So this is why when psychics, in that sense, are attempting to give you momentums about what's happening, quote unquote, in your future, that these particular forms of awarenesses that are now being brought into your attention have now been contaminated. So the only time a prediction can actually be 100% accurate is when it is not known by you. And that's it. So again, anything that you bring into your conscious awareness is very much in that sense like adding oil to water. It's basically now in a state of great dilution. So basically, this is why in that sense, some people may be getting upset or angry at their psychic. Hey, you told me I was going to meet a person next month and that this person didn't come along next month and now I want my money back. It's not to say that your psychic, your friend in that particular way, is giving you this type of prediction that is 100% accurate, because that's not possible. It is not possible for you to have a 100% accurate prediction in regards to conscious awareness. Can't be done. No matter how good the psychic, no matter how wise the man or the woman or the child, it is not possible. So that is something, again, we would like to remind you all, that psychics, that intuitives, that channels, etc., are all giving you calculation. They are all giving you the idea of something that can be brought into your conscious attention to where you feel things can go. But it is very important for you to understand that their predictions are not cemented into the ground. They are not written in stone. All right? They are basically, in that sense, no more different than a, shall we say, flyer in the air that is being blown around in the wind. There may be a very, very good chance you might catch that flyer, but there may also be another chance that it may float away. So it is basically giving you the idea of a momentum of opportunity. That is the difference. So again, we would ask all of you who are tuning into this broadcast to please keep that in mind. All psychics are, shall we say, temporal calculators. Basically looking into the idea of negotiations of timelines that they are receiving through their guides and through other particular types of subconscious means that are helping you to, shall we say, retrieve some type of insight, momentum about where the possibilities, opportunities may lie pertaining to that. So again, this is something we would ask you to remember as well too. We will move on to the fourth topic of this discussion today through the advancement classroom, representing that of the chakras. Now, can anybody in the front row attendance give us a little bit of information pertaining to the chakra centers? Primarily, what are the chakra centers? Anybody in the front row who would like to answer?
They're energy centers.
Energy centers, thank you.
Energy vortexes.
All right. Anybody else? All right, well, that's basically what we're getting. So thank you very much. You may now mute your microphones. Energy vortexes, energy centers. Yes, but they're a little bit more than that. The idea of the chakra centers is that they are, in that sense, imprints of your own soul matrix, and that they have formed together in different dimensional frequencies to, shall we say, become the constructors of your own physical body. They are what you would refer to as the, shall we say, nodule points, the nodule centers in regards to ethereal consciousness, in regards to energy together, that are actually making your reality what it is. And so again, the chakra centers are very, very vast. There is not just the idea of your 7 chakra centers. There's not just the idea of your 12 chakra centers. There are, in that sense, in total, 144 different chakra centers. But not of all of them, in that sense, are actually visible within your spectrum, or in that sense, even perceived within your spectrum. So basically, they all represent different levels of dimensional frequencies, all parts of your soul imprint that are actually imbuing into your body, in that sense, that is creating the idea of certain archetypal patterns. So they all represent different frequencies in that particular way. They all represent different archetypal forms. And so they are existing within 144 different dimensions on a universal dynamic scale. So again, the purpose of the chakra centers in that sense is what you would know as a nodule point, or in that sense, a particular type of mediation between the other particular planes that are considered to be non-physical and the physical planes. They are in that certain ways of what you would know as energetic gravity wells in that particular degree, because they are actually basically transporting and exporting matter. They are also, in that sense, transporting and exporting certain forms of data. They are, in that sense, no more different than what you would refer to as singularities in that particular degree. So because you have 144 different forms of chakra centers, we really can't go over all of them because there's many that is not even in the idea of relationship comprehension. But you understand your basic 7, from which you would know as your root chakra, your sacral chakra, your solar plexus chakra, your heart chakra, your throat chakra, your brow chakra, your crown chakra. You understand that, again, they represent different forms of, shall we say, color arrangements to the idea of your rainbow spectrum. That also is correct, because these forms of colors are not just pretty colors, and are not just pretty lights. They represent different forms of density, energetic, informational domains. And so basically they are inputting, and again outputting, certain forms of information in regards to other particular realms that are helping you to stay connected into this reality. And so they are basically, again, the forms of nodule points, the imprinters, through the idea of your own soul archetype. So they are making your physical body what it is, because they basically govern over 7 trillion degrees of light-induced fabrics that represent the, shall we say, hologram of your physical body. There are over 7 trillion light fabric strands that are, in that sense, responsible for manifesting the hologram that represents your body, that is, in that sense, associated together with the chakra centers relating to materialization. The idea in that sense that there are also collective chakra centers throughout the universal matrix, well within the trillions as well too, or perhaps even higher, based upon, again, the idea of the experiment. So the idea of your own physical reality, as you understand, is part of the matrix of an Earth-designed chakra grid, that it also functions together in regards to a collective star system chakra grid, that it also represents the idea of collective stars that represent the galaxy chakra grid, that it also connects to other particular galaxies associating with that galaxy chakra grid, that it also represents the universal domain and other particular dimensional formings in that way that represent other universal chakra grids. So you are looking at trillions of different types of chakra archetypes. This is not also including the idea of parallel universes that are converging together, forming even more trillions of chakra grids. So again, all they represent is the information centers, singularities, vortexes, yes, of information, of data that is appropriate in regards to their frequency, that helps them understand, in that sense, the, shall we say, dynamic of inputted, outputted reality. Even your own black holes, your own singularities in that sense, function in a similar degree. They are just archetyped somewhat differently. So the whole idea here is that they are information gatherers, they are information retrievers, they are materializers, they are nodule points, they are imprinters relating to your soul blueprint archetype. Make sense?
Yes,
Totally.
very much so. Yes, I resonate extremely with that information.
We thank you very much, all of you. So, again, understanding that what can my chakras do for me? Well, if you truly wish to interact with them, you certainly can. But understand that much in regards to most of your particular chakra centers, in that sense, are automated. Now, many of you in that sense are able to go intuitively into your chakra centers and may even notice when there are debris that is happening. The only reason debris is there is because of what? Why is debris in chakra centers?
I would say resistance.
Resistance, correct. You got it. It is all based upon the idea that there is emotional distress, that there is emotional impairment, that as you understand that your chakra centers are nodule points, are these particular energy vortices that represent certain archetypes that govern your own body in this material realm, that when you notice that there are energetic discrepancies within yourself, that these chakra centers will start to become tarnished. They will start to feel that they are receiving debris in that particular way. Now, it certainly is possible for you to, shall we say, mimic a flow of a chakra center to actually allow that particular type of obstruction representing that of an emotional barrier to become uplifted, because that's all you're doing. You're not actually, in that sense, capable of, in that sense, purging out the particular form of debris from the chakra center itself. What you are attempting to do is create a negotiation. So basically, when those chakra clearings are coming through, that energy has to go somewhere. So it's not just the idea of snapping your fingers and saying, oh my goodness, the debris is gone. No, it doesn't work that way. We're sorry to tell you. All of those are emotionally linked. And so when you're noticing that you're having discrepancies together within your chakra centers, that it is through the idea of negotiation and working together with the chakra centers that you are becoming receptive to the feeling that is responsible for creating that discrepancy. So that is primarily what is happening there. So this is why some of you in that sense will rotate your chakra centers in certain ways, which again can be helpful. It's in that sense very similar to what you would know as plumbing in that particular way. You're not just going to snap your fingers and all of a sudden the obstruction is going to be gone. You need to work together within the pipe to find out what the obstruction is there, and working in that sense to allow that obstruction to come out and bringing itself together into your awareness. So this is exactly what's happening. If you truly want to, in that sense, work on your chakra centers, look into it in a different way. Look into assisting your chakra centers and communicating with them so they can tell you exactly why there is debris there. And that all links back into the feeling body. So again, many of you do use the idea of pendulums and in that sense crystals to help you in that sense govern the chakra centers. And again, that's fine. But again, it's not about the idea of saying, oh, all this information is in this crystal and I'm done. No, it's not. Because as we stated, that energy needs to go somewhere because that is an emotionally activated energy. And so it's not about storing it all into a crystal and saying, here it is. No, because you can even in that sense take out certain forms of information that are actually vital for the healing process of that as well too. So it's not to say that crystals can't assist, but making sure that you are also orienting the crystal that is in calibration with the chakra center. This is what can create what you would know as magnetic disruption. So say, for example, if you are looking to, shall we say, gain certain forms of healing, and in that sense attunement in the root chakra, that you are basically attuning a crystal that is supportive of the root chakra, and that in that sense is in harmony with its magnetics. Well, Adronis, how do I know it's in harmony with my magnetics? When you start feeling a result. When you start feeling that this particular emotion is now coming into you, and now you're realizing what's being brought into your awareness, and you're able to release, to forgive, to accept, to acknowledge, and to liberate. And that is a successful chakra clearing. So again, it's all about looking into the idea that you are basically being a chakra plumber, and that you're working together within the pipes, as it were. You're working together within the vortices, and you're helping to discover more about what the obstruction is that's causing, in that sense, certain forms of chakra, shall we say, tarnishment. And so it's about being able to look into those particular areas all together and managing in that particular way. So again, crystals can help, pendulums can help, meditation can help in many different ways, color vibrational visualization can help in many different ways as well too. But it's all about being able to notice that you are just basically being this plumber, helping to flush and bring this particular obstruction into your awareness so that you are therefore able to work together with that particular type of emotional misalignment so that it can be brought, it can be acknowledged, it can be forgiven through yourself, and it can therefore become liberated. And that's the key. So again, that is what we would like to remind you of pertaining to working together with the chakra centers. We thank each and every single one of you once again for being a part of this interactive advancement classroom today. We will now pose any particular form of Q&A, firstly starting with the front row attendees, and then eventually moving on into the Q&A interaction through your text-based medium. So we would say hello to everybody in the front row, and do you have any questions for us at this time?
Yes, Adronis, I do. This is Bonnie.
Hello, Bonnie.
I would like to know your perspective, and I'm still learning about orbs, but I would like to know your perspective on orbs, where they come from, what their purpose is, just, generally about orbs.
Yes, well, there are many different origin points relating to orbs. Now, orbs in that sense can be what you would refer to as elemental energy. Often many of you discover that there are, shall we say, nature orbs that often float within your forests, or through photography that you're actually picking up these particular types of orbs. And these are in that sense indeed ethereal life forms, or what you would know as beings in spirit in that particular way as well. Orbs themselves can also represent technology. They can also be, in that sense, manifested through the astral planes and can actually, in that sense, sift in regards to some type of material that you would identify as an orb with. Orbs can also be identified as thought forms, and they can also be, in that sense, a particular type of thought form-based technology that basically has, in that sense, included instructions. Orbs themselves can also represent areas of chi that can also be dispersed throughout reality in regards to those who are healers, also in regards to those in that sense who are producing feeling or thought clusters, and that these in that sense can actually be visible through the idea of flashing lights, or also through the idea of materialized orbs that function together within reality. So they do have in that sense distinctive forms of versions to themselves. So when you are noticing that perhaps a spirit guide is present and that they may appear themselves as an orb, that is the representation of their energy within your physical reality that you may notice. You may also notice that if you're interacting with much of the elemental realms, such as the fairies, the pixies, etc., and you are in that sense working together with them in a forest, and you're noticing that you're feeling their energy, and perhaps a camera is nearby, and you snap a picture and you see that these particular orbs are floating around you, that is the representation of them within physical reality. Because again, they do represent much more than that, but that is how you perceive them in that particular way. So they can be guides, they can be in that sense assistants, they can be technology, they can be thought form, they can be feeling, they can simply be spheres of chi. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions?
Yes, Adronis, I have a question regarding the receiving of symbols such
and who are we
as...
speaking to?
I'm sorry, this is Wendy.
Hello, Wendy.
I was wondering if you could give us a little bit more information about the symbols that many of us receive with respect to what feel as star languages, along with galactic light languages,
yes,
and the light codes, as far as light codes coming through and how it affects us.
All right. Have you been receiving quite a bit?
Yes, a great many.
All right. Have you been able to give an idea about what you can describe as one particular example of a symbol?
Well, yes, I have a great many. Perhaps a circle with several strands coming out of it with circles on the tips of those, something to the effect of looking much like a star, perhaps, or a snowflake.
Yes.
Many different geometric symbols that look
yes.
like what I would consider, I've been told telepathically, are Sirius circuits.
Yes. Algorithms, yes, precisely. Yes, it's very true that these are, in that sense, being sent by other different civilizations. Now, again, sometimes they can be, shall we say, direct telepathy. Sometimes they can be based upon artificial intelligence. And basically, in that sense, functioning on a one-way relay through what you would know as crystalline technology. So, basically, many of these particular symbols are what you would know as data packets. So it is really no more different than your own internet, utilizing the idea of binary code, ones and zeros, to help, in that sense, create programs. So basically, in that sense, it is functioning in a much more different degree. That these particular symbols are basically anchors, and that these anchors themselves unfold energy, very similar to what you would know as your own archival files on your computer. So basically, they are, in that sense, permission slips. They are basically receiving this particular type of data that is being intercepted through yourself, and that through a symbol similar to this, being able to actually have that, in that sense, being placed within the codex of your own ethereal or transient body, and are basically, in that sense, materializing in regards to adjustments. Now, basically, these symbols, these circuits in that particular way, are no more different than what you would find in the updates that you find on your computers. That they are basically being updated in regards to software in that sense. They are basically helping you receive new codecs and basically helping you to reintegrate yourself in certain ways. These particular types of symbols can assist in the idea of the alleviations of certain levels of diseases. They can also assist in the idea, in that sense, of membranes enhancement. They can also represent the idea of clarity of memory. They can also bring memories back to you. There is, again, a very, very vast field of knowledge, of information, of insight that they portray. But many of them, in that sense, are sent through, shall we say, different forms of languages that can corroborate to the idea of what you would know as a Sirian transmission or an Orion transmission or Pleiadian transmission, etc. That can certainly happen, but really they are all archetyped, because the idea is that the Sirians themselves did not invent the language. They simply utilized the language in regards to what was shared with them. And again, it all goes back up into the Great Tree. So basically, all of these primarily are universal languages. They are codexes. And so basically helping you to update your own personal biological, in that sense, chemical, energetic, mental, emotional levels within your body. And so basically that is their purpose. They are updaters. They are information gatherers. They are, in that sense, information incubators to helping you, in that sense, align yourselves to different levels. Make sense?
Yes, very much so. Thank you very much
Now
for
you will
that
also
explanation.
We thank you. You will also discover that much of the circuits or the symbols or the algorithms that you are discovering are not always translatable through your physical languages. And again, there's a purpose to that. It would be very much to the idea of attempting to decipher music. And basically, in that sense, what is music attempting to tell you? While you're not basically attempting to see what every note is basically trying to tell you in regards to a vocality. It's basically telling you that as you tune into the transmission of the music, that it allows you to feel a certain way, that it brings you into a certain type of magnetic. And the same thing goes with these circuits, with these symbols. A lot of them are not translatable into any particular form of dialects. They are very much like music. They are symphonies in a particular way. And it is all part of a symphony orchestra that is working together with your body's own energy matrix. All right?
Yes, exactly. That is exactly the information that I received as well regarding many of these symbols. Would you be able to elaborate just a little bit on galactic light languages spoken as well in that respect?
Well, again, there are many different types. Do you have an example you would like to share?
As far as an actual spoken language?
If you wish.
Asiato ko yamalia soto yoraha maliato rakihi mituro kwa shakia tolo wakabilia tahima ki tolo kwa.
Yes, so again, these do represent different forms of, shall we say, hemispheric transformations that are taking place within DNA apparatus, as well as, in that sense, expanding different forms of grid formations within your own energy matrix. So again, these are no more different than, as we just stated, certain forms of musicians, or in that sense, music, symphonies in that particular way. So basically, everything that you have just translated through that particular significance of star language in that particular way, yes, does have certain forms of seeds to what you would know as Sirius and Andromeda. We are referring to the galaxy, not the constellation. So basically, in that sense, many of these particular forms are utilized in codexes pertaining to certain languages that can be identified by certain races, but again, they do have universal roots. So basically what you are just sharing in that regards to an exchange is, shall we say, subconscious algorithms that are working together within the body to create certain forms of enhancements and improvements necessary. We would ask everybody else to please mute your microphones. We are able to hear someone in the background. Right, thank you. Does that answer your question?
Yes, very much so. Thank you very much, Adronis.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? You may now unmute.
Hi, Adronis. This is Christy.
Hello, Christy. I would
Yeah,
ask the other person who is speaking in the background, please mute your microphone.
Okay, I just had a question back at the chakra conversation, and I've heard of people talking about chakra combining or removal into one central node. And first of all, is this possible? And second, if it is possible, what is the result for the person and their energy changes?
Our apologies, our focus was somewhat skewed. Could you please repeat your question?
Yes. Sorry. This question is about the chakra combining or removal that some people talk about. First question, is it possible? And second, if it is possible, what is the result for that person and how their energy changes?
Understand that the idea of chakra amalgamation, in that sense, can be certainly achieved, but it is more so in the idea that there is a great deal of work behind it in order for that to be achieved. It is very similar in the idea of how one is amalgamating with themselves, that the idea that the chakras, therefore, can follow suit. So the whole idea in that sense is it's like like folding an accordion together. But if you know that your body is not aligned to that particular type of medium, it will create a rebound. And so the whole idea is that the more that one collectively understands themselves based upon what they know is natural to themselves, authentic to themselves, and in that sense all other particular forms of debris that does not represent themselves, and working together in a collective means to help amalgamate many different energy centers within their body, that this creates an accordion effect. And again, that those in that sense that are able to experience that often have more what you would know as hyper-dimensional experiences. They are in that sense being able to advance more past reality than what you would know as physical. Make sense?
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Any other questions from our front row attendees?
I've got a question. May I ask? I just stopped it, but I heard you were talking. This is Noha.
Hello, Noha.
Yes, regarding the chakras, on daily basis, I'm activating my chakras with the colors and everything. I know they have to do with different dimensions, with past lives, associations, things like that. So, and when a person is dissected physically, they don't see it. It's not there. So it's in the astral. They are in the astral positions. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But so what can I do extra to feel it more, to have spontaneous healing? Because I do that every day and I know it intentionally. I do it intentionally, but I don't touch it. You know what I mean? I don't feel the acceleration is taking the process. See what I mean?
Yes, again, understand that instantaneous healing is only a part in regards to, shall we say, forms of feelings that have reached a state of acceptance. And that's basically all the particular form of healing that comes together. When a feeling has been harmonized, the idea of the body corresponding with that becomes an instantaneous feat. So this is why many of you, in that sense, in deep levels of hypnosis, can often discover that these instantaneous forms of healings can actually take place, because it is basically working together with the higher self, with the oversoul of the individual, to actually allow a purging of certain degrees of feelings. And through those purging of particular degrees of feelings and reintegrations of feelings that serve, this creates the idea of what you would know as physical transformation on a nearly instantaneous level. So as we stated, in that sense, that if you are looking to feel your chakra centers out so much, some of you can't. It's just not in that particular way that you are aligned in that medium yet. Now, there are many different ways that you can try. Again, many of you feel that you are able to spin your chakra centers through the idea of the physical movement of the hands, or that you are actually able to rub the area of your body in regards to certain forms of clockwise or counterclockwise measures depending upon the alignment of the chakra center. There can also be in the idea of what you would know as electrical stimulation, very similar to what you would know as electrodes that can also be done. There is also the idea of, shall we say, certain forms of tones that work together in helping to, shall we say, stimulate through bass frequencies the idea of certain forms of chakra centers that you are able to peripherally detect. So there are many different ways to feel out your chakra centers. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
We thank you very much.
Well,
now here's something.
Yeah.
Yes. Now here's something
saying,
as well. Yes, did you have another question?
No, it's not another question. It's just on that note. It's just I have to activate it a bit more by hypnosis.
Nothing really needs to be activated. And again, that's in that sense often a myth through many of you. Chakras do not require activation. It is more so in the idea that you are going through a personal activation yourself to become more aware of them. But the chakras don't, in that sense, have a stagnancy of working. They already know what they're doing. They are basically already conscious. They already have intelligence. It is the idea that when you are activating yourself to, in that sense, exist within the dimension, exist within the reality, that you are much more, in that sense, receptive to that. You do not need to activate your DNA. You do not need to activate your chakra centers. You do not need to activate certain things. All you're basically doing is aligning. So there's a difference between alignment and activation. Activation is much more in that sense of a behind-the-scenes form of intervention that's taking place. So again, understand that everything that represents your environment, the people that are part of your reality, where you are going through transit in regards to your own planetary sphere, where you are moving throughout the galaxy, your sun, your planets, your moon, etc., all of that is more so responsible for the clockwork of activation. It is more so in the idea of your alignments in regards to how you see yourself that creates the basis of experience based upon that particular alignment that you have given yourself confidence and, in that sense, natural clarity to experience. All right?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, what we were going to say is that you will notice that there are indeed some people on your planet that do not have any particular form of what you would know as the 7 chakras at all. You will also notice that there will be certain people that do not even have the same type of color vibration of chakra centers to the rainbow spectrum as well too. This is because their own body is hybridized in a certain way that their archetypes of chakra is actually in a different planetary or galactic system. And so you may notice that those of you who are in that sense very, very clairvoyant and are able to detect chakra centers and their colors and their frequencies may notice that there is either an absence of them or there is a different color ratio that's assigned. And this is all based upon their different forms of, shall we say, alignments, based upon different forms of galactic or interdimensional forms that are basically allowing them to share their experience here, which means that they are not primarily tethered to the Earth experiment. They are not primarily tethered in regards to the information that's actually coming through the nexus of this planet. Their information is much more in that sense on a deeper level of non-locality. So again, that can be very, very deeper and much more broad in regards to the dependency of the person in question. So we wanted to leave you with that as well too. Do we have one last question in regards to any of the front row attendees?
I have one. So with...
Who are we speaking?
I'm sorry, this is Alexandra.
Hello, Alexandra.
Within introspect of everything, all the topics you discussed today, when it comes, we've talked about the healing aspect of and in interaction with the guides and so forth.
Yes.
But when it comes to manifesting, because we know that they do guide us to a particular reality or situation that we might not be comfortable with or enjoying at the present moment. So how do we, after learning the lesson per se, how do we align ourselves with what would be more enjoyable?
Well, that's all part of, in that sense, understanding your authentic self, right? Now, understand that basically there is much of the dilution of feeling that in your culture, when I really get to learn these particular lessons, I'm home free. I'm able to just go in that particular direction and do that. No, that's not the case at all. You will constantly be challenged. You will constantly have choice when you are realizing that you're still existing within a reality that has a social mainframe of that particular way. So again, when you move past the idea of choice and actually in that sense of just deciding these particular things, that is when you're truly living in the heart. But again, many of you are still in that sense going into those particular directions, yes. But we have yet to meet any particular person in that sense that is 100% living in the heart right now. That is not in any particular way a derogatory form to any of you. And that many of you are indeed tipping the scale and more of you are starting to feel your heart. But because you are still working together with a very extreme societal program, that many of you will still be offered the idea of decision making. And again, that is something through choice that you are still attempting to govern through yourself. The key to that, again, is sometimes not being afraid to misstep. That's the lesson. Now here, the whole idea here is that when you feel that I'm just going to be on my path, I'm just going to be on my path, I'm just going to walk a straight line, oh my goodness, nothing's going to happen. That is not what we are basically saying, because the whole idea is that you're still keeping your head straight and feeling that this is your path, and you're not giving yourself enough permission to look around. So it is very, very important that 1, you do not fear choice. 2, you do not fear misinterpretation of what you feel was your true path, which means it's okay to misstep. That's all right. You notice that as soon as you misstep with something and something didn't arrange, Zeus of the gods didn't pitch a lightning bolt at you, right? So it's very, very important to realize that it is okay to misstep. It is okay to feel like you've been misguided, because that is helping you to deliver purity to yourself. Now, many may say, well, Adronis, you know what? I'm just so tired of misstepping. I'm just so tired of going off into the shadows. Can't I just be in the light already? You are in the light when you're noticing that you are firstly in the shadows, because now you've already realized that you're there, and now you know the footprints in the sand to return back into the light. The light is always here. It's always here. You may notice that there's a lot of shadows over here. Sometimes you need to walk to those shadows because those shadows are trying to talk to you. They're trying to communicate with you. Now, many of you in that sense have done a wonderful job in being able to work together with these shadows, to amalgamate together with them, and to achieve liberation. You've done fantastic jobs with that, absolutely. But there are still certain ways to go, because you're still starting to move yourself into a new earth. You're still starting to understand more and more of how the infinite complements you. through the people you meet, through the situations you come in contact with, through everything else that's going on together within your Earth sphere. That's all part of the plan. Do not be afraid to misstep. Do not be afraid, quote unquote, to screw up. It's okay, because that's what's teaching you the lesson itself. We are not here on this planet saying, human beings, you better not screw up anymore or else. No, that is not what we're saying at all. We're saying it's okay if you feel that you've gone a little bit left and you've gone into the darkness and you've acknowledged that particular aspect that's left you there. And now you're moving back into the light because you've become aware of it. That's basically what we're saying. So the whole idea is that when you start to really work on yourself, when you really start to move more into your own authenticity, the idea of striving into the darkness will become less and less. So for example, when you first started out and you were probably not aware of yourself that much, you may have gone this much out into the shadows. And now when you're starting to work together with yourself a lot more, you're understanding more about what serves, you're understanding more about who you believe yourself to be, who you know yourself to be, working together and aligning yourself with what feels good, with what feels loving. There's the amount that in that sense is the shadow. You took a little bit of a curve rather than a giant curve. Do you see what we're saying here? This is all part of algorithms. And that as these other particular types of challenges come together, you will notice again, yes, there will be these little curves here and there. That's okay. That's showing that you're giving a lot of promise. Here's the thing, dearest humans. You've already reached the new Earth. You're already here. You've already done it. This is the 4th density Earth. This is the 5D Earth. You're already here. You put your stamp on the page. You're already here. So now that you know you're already here, what is it that you've wanted to do in 5D Earth? That will be our topic of discussion in the next 2 weeks. 5D Earth. What's in it for you? All right?
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. We will now return to the conduit, and we will now begin to interact with the Q&A that is being brought forward through the application. One moment, please, as we now return to the conduit. Thank you. Oh man, guys, that was a fun class. Thank you so much, everybody, for a really great class today. We're going to go ahead and we're going to look into the Q&A here. So I'm just going to take a moment here and just bring in the application. The app, I should say. Okay, so let me see. So we got a few questions here, so I'm just going to kind of look down the list here very briefly and just bring in any particular types of good questions. Okay. Okay, so we got a couple people saying their mic is operational. That's great. Okay, so we have one here from Samantha. Samantha asks, can these 144 chakras that are connected to these various dimensions also be seen as central suns within their own dimensions? A very good question. Thank you, Samantha. We've got Samantha. So I'll go ahead and I'll bring Adronis in, and he can elaborate further on this. We thank you once again for your inquiry. The idea of the chakra centers all depends in regards to the matrix that they reside. Now understand that the other trillions of chakra centers in that sense to what we refer to as environmental consciousness, yes, can be seen within stars, but not just one, but as many. So again, the chakra centers are not primarily representing the stars themselves, even though in corroboration that's what's happening. But the idea is that your universe is actually more energetically fluidic than anything that you would consider to be solid or anything that you would consider to be a part in that particular way. If you are able to adjust your own visual spectrum into different alignments of energetic understandings, you would notice that your own universe is actually very energetically fluidic, very much like liquid light in that particular way, and that everything is all interconnected. And that when there is a disturbance, it is like seeing an intense ripple in the fluid that instantaneously responds. And understand that there are certain forms of microbial life within your own Earth that respond to the idea of these fluidic transformations, such as what you would find through coronal mass ejections and through the idea in that sense of certain levels of amoeba that can actually respond to it, or paramecium that can actually respond to it in that jolting fashion as well too. This is how you are more so in the idea energetically fluidic in the idea of the universal design. So the maps pertaining to the idea of certain chakras together on an environmental level, in the idea of what you would know as your external space-time nexus, is basically all part of an intricate degree of different forms of chakra centers that can represent the idea of planets, that can represent the idea of moons, that can represent the idea of celestial phenomena, that can even represent the idea of different dimensional fabrics, and of course life forms on other particular planes in the first, second, third, fourth densities as well, and of course in higher ground also. We thank you very much, Samantha, for your question. All right. Thank you very much, Samantha. So we will move down the list here. We're just going to take 3 more questions here, guys, and then we're going to wrap up. Okay, I got one here from Carol. Okay, Carol, it's kind of a personal question, so I'd say that's probably just best for more of a personal interaction. Here's kind of a funny one from Tinfoil Hatter. He's asking about the Berenstain Bears. They're still out there somewhere, I assume, just on some other timeline, yeah? I guess I'll cover this one because Adronis has talked about this quite a bit. Yeah, basically they're in another particular type of reality. So for those of you who are not too sure about this, basically if you're looking at what you know as the Berenstain Bears, they're a very, very popular children's book series that I've read religiously when I was a kid. And I remember looking at the book and seeing it spelled Berenstein, the Berenstain Bears, right? Basically, if you look at all particular types of material that relates to the Berenstain Bears in this universe, you will see that they are now known as the Berenstain Bears, S-T-A-I-N, right? This is part of the Mandela effect, right? So basically what Tinfoil Hatter is asking is if in some type of reality, is the Berenstain Bear in that particular type of spelling existing? Yes, it is. But we're not concurrent with that particular universe anymore. This is basically what Adronis was saying, is that you have the 12 spheres, and they have these umbilical cords, you know, representing the many universes, and they're creating this particular form of amalgamated universe. And that this amalgamated universe is basically the new apex of everything else that the other universes are stripping away. So part of that stripping can represent the idea of a new spelling for the idea like the Berenstain Bears. But if that's giving the idea that, well, does that still exist somewhere? Of course. If you can imagine it, it's still there, right? It's just not concurrent with our own particular timeline, okay? So that's basically the answer to that question. It's still there, just not concurrent with us, okay? Very good. So I'm going to go through one more question here before we wrap it up today. Just see if there's one other person that have a question here. Okay. Okay, so we have a lot of inquiries here about people asking about the flat Earth. I'm not sure if you guys have heard about the flat Earth and stuff like that. You know, there's a lot of talk about that. Flat Earth is basically just giving a perspective on a certain degree representing our planet. Our planet is very round. Okay, it's very spherical. It's very three-dimensional. You can't even really imagine a flat planet. It just doesn't exist in our universe. It doesn't exist in the way that we would understand it, and we would certainly not identify it as a planet. Many people are, again, talking about a lot of the flat Earth in that sense. I can only give my perspective on this, and again, it's up to everybody else to do their own research and find that. But a lot of people have asked me, Brad, what about the flat Earth? What about the flat Earth? And I said, what flat Earth? Right? So that's basically my particular perspective on it. To me, there is no flat Earth. It's mainly just looking at the idea of certain forms of measurements and understandings about the land and all that stuff. But if you were actually able to create a very close mimicking of a planet Earth in regards to its gravitational constant and all that, and being able to put these certain types of land masses in there, you would notice that the flatness actually maintains itself in regards to the spherical energy based upon gravity. Also understand that our land goes very, very deep. And it's really no more different than looking at a boat in a particular way about how it's able to float in a particular type of landmass. People are saying, well, you know what, we've measured the railroad tracks and it all appears that it's going flat. In a way that may be true because the land itself may be flat. That doesn't mean the Earth is. So again, that's basically something I'll comment and leave it for you guys as well too. To me, the idea of the flat Earth is still something that people have jumped to conclusions with a little bit and are still thinking that that's what's happening. we've had for thousands of years, even a lot of the ancient Chinese that have already knew the Earth was round way before this modern culture came along, way before the post-industrial, the pre-industrial ages. To me, even just being out in certain states as well too, where you can just see the Earth floating around you. It's very much round. It's very much spherical. So that's just my own particular perspective, but if you guys want to look into it more, and whatever you decide to see, it's your reality after all, right? Thank you, everybody, for being a part of today's classroom. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for everybody who was the front row attendees. Thank you so much for your great questions and your great interactions. For everybody else that has been tuning in to leave their questions behind, thank you so much. So join us in 2 weeks, again, as Adronis will be bringing on some other exciting topics, especially, again, the 5D Earth. What's in it for you, or what will you do now, right? So we'll be looking into that as well too. Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your Sunday night, and I look forward to speaking to you guys in 2 weeks' time. Namaste. Take care.